Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with this evening's hearing for the Board of County Commissioners. Let the record reflect that we have Commissioner Kearns and French present, and Commissioner Cuney will be joining us here shortly. The first item of business, if you'd all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation under God.
Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is open public forum. This is an opportunity we provide folks in the community to share any comments with the board on any item that is not already covered on our agenda. We will be taking public comment on the budget here in a minute, but the open public forum is for anybody who wants to provide any comments to the board that is on any topic other than what's on our agenda tonight. So second call for anybody wanting to provide comments. Third and final call, seeing nobody come forward. That gets us to item 4 on our evening's agenda, which is our continuation of our budget development process and our outreach to the community in terms of getting priorities, insights, suggestions from members of the community that would like to share comments with the board with regard to their priorities for us as we develop our budget. I do have one person signed up to provide testimony tonight. If you'd like to share comments with us on the budget, please fill out the yellow sign-up sheet and give that to the clerk, and we will get you on the record. This helps us keep track of those that have provided testimony for us tonight. After listening to folks that provide testimony, you say, well, you know, I'd like to comment, come up to the mic, and we'll give you time to share your comments with us, and then you can fill out the yellow slip afterwards. If you have a cell phone, please ask you to turn it on mute or turn it off. If you have to take a call, please step out in the foyer and take your call out there. We'd also ask that if you've got a conversation that you need to have with your neighbor, please take that out into the foyer as well. This is a legislative process, and we ask that you respect the process and speakers as they share their comments with us. Also, keep in mind that this is a legislative process, so if you have expressions of support or dismay or disagreement, please keep them to yourself. This is a time for the board to listen to you and your wisdom, and so appreciate if you'd respect that process. So with that, as indicated earlier, the board has been involved in one of the most transparent budget development processes that I've experienced for as long as I've been here, which is 7 years. And so we've really worked to try and make sure that as we develop the budget for 2018, which is going to be a constrained budget, that we make sure that we prioritize the elements of the county services that are important to our citizens, in addition to those services that we have to provide that are statutorily required and stuff. So this next week, we should start seeing the preliminary results of our budget development process, and there'll be a number of hearings for people to comment on those as well. So with that, the first and only sign-up sheet I have for tonight. So again, if you want to provide comment, please fill out the yellow sign-up sheet, and we'll take your testimony tonight. But the first one that I have signed up is George Rice. So I will be keeping time 3 minutes for each speaker. If you hear the bell ring, just work to try and wrap up. We're not going to give you the hook right away, but would appreciate it if you'd try and wrap your comments at that point. And with that, then, bear with me now. Welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having an open forum, and I appreciate being able to express a few comments. I wanted to give you a little bit of background, though, as to who am I and where I am here. I practiced medicine here in Spokane for about 30 years. I was an OBGYN and probably delivered about 3,000 babies. So after retiring, I became a volunteer for the local chapter of AARP, which incidentally is the largest chapter in the state. And also I've become a member of the Executive Council of AARP in the state of Washington, and have been on the Executive Council approximately for 10 years. Also, I was a volunteer with SHEBA, which helps seniors with drugs, prescription drugs and that kind of thing, and especially this time of year when it's important for them to look at the drug program that they're on so they can obtain the cheapest program they can get. So that's a little bit of my background. There's other things too, but the reason I'm here is primarily to talk to you about the assessor's office and senior exemptions. First of all, I praise the local county assessor's office in that it's one of the few counties that notifies seniors that they may be eligible for a senior exemption. And as you probably know, the senior exemption is for people with incomes of $35,000, $40,000, or $30,000, $35,000, or $40,000. These seniors are eligible then for an exemption. But first, those exemptions need to be processed. And what's happening is that the assessor's office does not have enough money to keep the staff assessing those exemptions, so that the seniors then are left, right now it's about 4.5 months it takes to process their exemption. So this is a real problem for seniors that are low on money, and they really need to have those exemptions move through faster. And the only way I can see that that can be done is by increasing the budget to the assessor's office. More and more it seems that seniors are moving to Spokane from the west side. It's certainly much cheaper to live here in Spokane than it is over on the west side. So we're seeing an input of seniors, I think, in our community, and we need to protect them as much as we can. And this senior exemption is really exceptional in that it does help seniors as far as money is concerned. Where are we with my time? Am I up?
Just went off.
Okay. So thank you for hearing me, and I would hope that you can find some way to give a bigger budget to the assessor's office. And they're doing a good job. It's one of the few ones in the state that lets seniors know they may be eligible. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next person I have signed up is Arthur Witten.
Hello, Commissioners. Arthur Witten, Spokane Home Builders Association. We represent over 700 member businesses that do business across Spokane County, but also 7 eastern Washington counties. And I'm just here to talk briefly tonight, follow up on written comments that the Home Builders Association submitted earlier this afternoon. But we too would like to see a prioritization of the auditor and assessor's budgets this year. Listening to what the proposed cuts to their budgets would do would absolutely have an impact on the level of service that our members rely on to do business in Spokane County. Specifically, the reduction of 2 residential appraiser staffers and also recording staff in the auditor's office would lead to a significant drawdown of the level of service that our members rely on for vital services such as recording, plat recording, and segregation of new parcels. And some of the points I wanted to make on that was that the assessor's office has been subject to an unfunded mandate that the commissioners have discussed many times before, but that would be the Washington State Supreme Court Hearst decision, an unexpected drawdown on that office's budget this year. And I would hope the county commissioners would take that into consideration going into next year. Please consider prioritizing the auditor and assessor's budgets in the 2018 year. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. Next person I have signed up is Laura Williams. Yep.
Thank you, and thank you again for having this as a public forum for the citizens to be able to speak. The last meeting, you did a proclamation on the drug program and a domestic violence program, and I don't know how the 5 of you up here felt, but I heard horrific statistics, and those two are so intimately intertwined. We have to have our law enforcement agencies properly budgeted for staffing and for the equipment that they need. They're grossly understaffed right now and have a lot of really awful equipment to be working with. I am a practice administrator for the largest OBGYN clinic on the north side, and my clinic experienced a crime just a couple of weeks ago with a person unknown. They're not a patient in our practice, high on heroin, meth, who knows what, that plowed through our patients in the waiting room in our secured area and was able to corner one of my MAs in a physician's office and lock the door. We were 4 to 5 minutes getting the hospital security to respond. We never did see city police. And I know you're dealing with sheriff's department, but this is unacceptable in so many levels, in so many ways. And 7 or 8 years ago in this profession, it was very rare to see someone coming in high on drugs and having issues. Now it's almost a daily occurrence, and it's not just with the north side, the South Hill OBGYN clinics see this, the Valley clinics see this. We have them shooting up in the parking lots and then coming in to be seen or in labor. And this is a huge expense to our community, obviously, because those babies don't go home. CPS takes charge of them if they test positive for their drugs. So then we have other services being taxed and strained, and us as taxpayers are taxed and strained as well with this. So I just encourage you guys to really, and women, to really think about making sure those funds and things are there for our law enforcement agencies. We all lectured you last time about the fiduciary responsibility, but I take it a step further. We as citizens in this community and you all have a responsibility to our law enforcement to have it properly done. If we don't, these criminals are going to continue to escalate in our community. We are not going to have the businesses coming in. We won't have the types of families or individuals coming in to support this community that we want to see here. So I really encourage you to find ways to make sure that that budget works, because I want those men and women as safe as they can be when they go out into the community to protect us. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
I'm going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm just going to be back at every one of these public ones for a while.
We look forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
So at this point, I do not have anybody else that's signed up, but see somebody coming forward. Just go ahead and take the microphone now. That's what we're talking about. That's
I thought I
the
needed
topic,
to be,
so-
item 4, I'm Lunell Hutt,
Yep.
and I am a happy retiree from the Park Advisory Committee. And the reason that I'm here is because there are 3 items I would like you to consider, and one is swimming pools. Oh my gosh, I think that the Parks Department and Doug Chase does a fabulous job figuring out what to do and when. And I know that one of the reductions that you're looking at is swimming pools. He has a very sophisticated way of figuring out when to open the pools and when not to open the pools and what the temperature is, and I absolutely trust that. But I really believe that it's important that we be able to provide this service, particularly in the summer, for our grandmas and our young people. And I'm neither one of those, so I have absolutely no skin in that game. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the importance of our volunteers in this community. They serve not only on the Parks Advisory Committee, but they also serve as trail builders. And one of the things you may have noticed is the increasing popularity of trails. The Washington Trails Association, the Inland Northwest Trails Coalition, which is my organization, the Mountaineers, Dishman Hills. There's a huge number of people who will take Pulaskis and not only be able to spell them, but be able to use them in the outdoors. The need to organize these kinds of volunteers to help maintain our conservation futures properties and our parks properties is huge. Doug and I have had an ongoing conversation about this. I recognize the importance of maintenance. I recognize the importance of doing things with employees of Spokane County. But one of the areas where the animal control system has been so successful is in its management of volunteers. And I urge you to consider this as you consider the 10% increase in the maintenance budget of the conservation futures tax that we enjoy. And I really do mean enjoy, because we do enjoy that. So that's an area where not just hiring another maintenance hand, but be on the lookout for a way to take advantage of these volunteers who donate thousands of dollars worth of benefit to our community. Lastly, I'd like you to consider with the Conservation Futures Fund the idea that we buy, instead of huge acreage outright, we buy public access across acreage as we increasingly like to take advantage of trails. I'm working on several areas right now with the Inland Northwest Trails Coalition in the City of Spokane Park Department, where we would like to access private land 10 feet wide, 200 feet deep. It's not a big deal, but it's a big deal if you can't get through it. And so I would just like to offer that as an expansion of the way that we think about our conservation futures land. Do you want me to say anything else? Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing this. I really, really do. And I love what the Parks Department does.
Great. Thank you, Linnell. And thank you for all the volunteer time that you spend for the community. So that completes all of the folks that I have signed up for tonight. So is there anybody else in the audience who would like to provide any testimony for a hearing this evening? Second call for anybody wanting to provide testimony. Third and final call. Well, thank you very much for everybody that did come down and join us and sharing with us your thoughts and suggestions. We do record all of these suggestions and stuff, and it will be part of our deliberation process as we finally develop that recommendation for the budget for 2018. So thank you very much for joining us tonight and sharing with us your thoughts. So I'm not going to close the hearing. We're going to leave the hearing open and continue it because this is an ongoing process. We want to continue this dialogue with our citizens and make sure that as we finalize out the budget for 2018, we're hitting the priorities that are important to the community, because we are here as your servants and trying to do the work for the community. So with that, then, that completes item number 4 on our agenda. Item number 5 is our second and final open public forum. I do not have anybody signed up for the public forum. Again, this is an opportunity to talk about anything not on the agenda. So is there anybody in the audience who would like to provide any testimony on open public forum? Second call for anybody wanting to provide testimony. Third and final call. Seeing nobody rush to the microphone. That then gets us to the end of our agenda for this evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening and a great weekend. And I know that we'll be seeing you again. So take care. And we are adjourned. Thank you.